Today, we're tackling a huge question. What really makes a society prosperous? The sources we're digging into suggest the answer lies in something we often take for granted, the rules we all live by. Let's get into how it all works. Everything really starts with this one simple problem that we all face every single day. You and I, we have to make choices about our job, our money, our life, and we're doing it without knowing what's coming next. It's the basic challenge of being human. So how on earth do we deal with all that uncertainty? And look, this isn't just your problem or my problem. It's a problem for all of society. Every community, every country, all through history has had to figure out how to keep things running when the future is, well, a total mystery. So here's the thing. We're all trying to make our own decisions in the dark, right? But for society to actually function, all those decisions have to somehow line up. I need to trust that if I go to a coffee shop, someone's going to be there to make the coffee. You need to trust you'll get paid at the end of the week. That's the coordination problem. Okay, so how do we solve this puzzle? How do you get millions of people, all acting under this cloud of uncertainty, to work together? Well, the answer lies in what economists call institutions. Now, that sounds way more complicated than it is. An institution isn't some big, fancy building. Nope, it's simply the rules of the game. Things like traffic laws, or even just the custom of shaking hands. These are all institutions, and they're what make our world feel predictable. And these rules basically do three main jobs for us. First, they save us a ton of mental energy, so we don't have to overthink every little thing. Second, they draw clear lines between what's okay and what's not. And maybe most importantly, they help us guess what other people are going to do, which is the secret to solving that whole coordination problem. So every society has rules, that's a given. But where do those rules come from? The material we're looking at today zeroes in on one particular framework that starts from a completely different foundation. You can really think of it in two broad ways. In what you might call a man-centered framework, we as a society come up with the rules ourselves. But in a creator-centered framework, the rules are understood to come from a divine source. The Islamic economic framework we're exploring operates from this second point of view. And that right there tells you the ultimate goal. The whole point of this system of rules isn't just about making things run smoothly or efficiently. The number one objective, the thing that's baked into the rules themselves, is to create social justice. So what does this actually look like in the real world? Let's break down three of the most critical pillars of this whole economic system: the rules about what we own, the promises we make, and, crucially, the trust we build with each other. The way property is understood here is, well, it's pretty fascinating. It all starts with the idea that God is the real owner of everything. We humans are just stewards. And your right to own something comes from your own hard work. So private ownership isn't just a right, it's a deep responsibility, a trust, or amanah. This means the duty to share is literally built into the very idea of owning something. Now check this out, because this might surprise you. The legal scholar Sabah Habachi points out that because these property rights are seen as divinely given, they are, in a weird way, more absolute and protected than in a lot of modern legal systems. The twist is that this absolute right comes with absolute, non-negotiable duties to the community. And that brings us right back to trust, to that word amana. It is the absolute cornerstone of everything. And get this, the Arabic root for the word trust is the exact same as the root for belief or faith. The two ideas are seen as totally intertwined. To be a person of faith is to be a person who can be trusted. I mean, this point is driven home by this incredibly direct and powerful statement from the Prophet Muhammad. It just completely elevates trustworthiness. It's not just a nice-to-have social skill, it's an essential part of your spiritual life. It's not optional. So what's the bottom line, economically speaking? It's simple. High trust leads to low transaction costs. When you trust people to keep their word, you don't have to spend a fortune on lawyers and complicated contracts and watching over everyone's shoulder. It just makes doing business way easier, cheaper, and faster for everybody. Okay, so we have these building blocks of property and trust. How do they all come together to achieve that big goal of a just society, especially when we start talking about money and wealth? In this framework, wealth is not supposed to just sit in a bank account gathering dust. It's seen as the lifeblood of the community. Its real value comes from moving around, from being invested and spent and shared in ways that benefit everyone. Hoarding wealth is like creating a blockage in an artery, so it's a huge no-no. And the system has real, concrete tools to make sure that circulation happens. One of the most famous is zakat. It's a required annual payment 2.5% on certain kinds of wealth you hold over a year. And the key thing here is this isn't just charity. It's seen as fulfilling a right that the community has on that wealth. And there are other tools too. Another powerful one is COMS. That's a levy of 1/5 or 20% on certain types of surplus income. Just like zakat, it's a rule designed to make sure wealth doesn't just pile up in one place, but is constantly put back to work to support the whole society. So when you put it all together, you can see how the entire system, from how you think about property to the specific rules on wealth, is all engineered toward one big goal: creating a balanced society. The system is trying to prevent those massive gaps between the super rich and the poor by wiring social justice right into the economic rules of the game. And that kind of leaves us with a final question to chew on. We've just walked through one system where shared beliefs are the very bedrock of the economy. It really makes you wonder, for any society, what role should our shared values and beliefs play in the mission to build an economy that's not just prosperous, but truly just?